If you were waiting, I am sorry. If you were waiting, I am very sorry. Today was a little bit of a rest day, celebrating the Chinese New Year, which I do not celebrate, but I do have students that celebrate it, and so we've had a great time. And today was a very slow day, so I took advantage and did some things that on weekdays I normally wouldn't do. And so I got a little backed up, and one of the things I had to do, thankfully this isn't a hugely popular channel just yet, so I can slack off a little bit. And I have to tell you that I feel that other channels have slacked off a lot, or maybe it's my job in this scape to do the job that I have to do and talk about things that other channels don't talk about or will not talk about. And really what we're going to focus in on today is the Committee of 300 and the basis of where all our pain and suffering has been coming from, and the battle we are actually fighting. So it has become clear to me now. I had inklings, or I thought that's where we were going when the Q movement first started, was to go after the Committee of 300, to do a whole bunch of things grandiosely. That didn't happen because these things are complicated and have to be done in a very succinct manner. So the Committee of 300, if you are not familiar with them, and I'm going to guess that you're not. Here's the flip side. Very few people are nerdy enough like I am to really deep dive all this information and get to the Council of 300. So it's a process that takes a lot of time and a lot of study. And thankfully, I had my channel back then that really helped me get to who the Committee of 300 was. I didn't get as deep as I wanted to, but now we have more information. We have more understanding of how things work in the back end, so we can understand the Committee of 300. And for a lot of you, let's see if you can remember these maps. If you're familiar with the Q Project and QAnon, if you remember these maps. And yeah, whenever I got discouraged with the whole Q Project, I just left these maps behind and really didn't want to have anything to do with them again. And now they make sense. I guess how it goes is past proves future, or yeah, past proves future. So a lot of the stuff that we did in the early QAnon days is panning out now. And if you remember this map, it was wild. I mean, absolutely wild. And it still is pretty wild. Completely wild. But the one thing that we do know now, clearly, is that there is a Committee of 300. And the Council of 13 are the 13 families, 13 bloodlines, 13 original bloodlines. And Pindar is the top of all of this. So where this gets crazy is going to lines like Dracos and the Reptilians, the Anunnaki, and all of that, which, yeah, man, we're going to have to get our heads around it, that all of this stuff is really, really, really true. So we have that, and we're over here on the far left-hand side. Let me see if I can make it bigger. And then just move it around a little bit. All right. This is something you can work with. So down here we have Russian Federation. I can do that, yes. Okay. Russian Federation, and it's not working very good because I don't know what I'm doing. And now, Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, the New World Order, worship Satan. Those were crazy words back then. Those of us in the QAnon movement took it pretty darn seriously. And now, after all the Epstein papers have dropped, we have to take it very seriously. And one of the things that everybody's talking about, thankfully, is that it's come to clearly that Epstein wasn't in control. He wasn't the boss. He was a peon, a foot soldier, just like P. Diddy was, just like Howard Hughes was, just like there are people all over the world that do what Epstein does, and they all have to have a central control figure, and that is going to be the most evil, because they do the most evil things to maintain the control. They have to become sycophants, and they have to become absolutely evil people that have no feelings whatsoever to maintain the level of control that they do. And sycophant isn't the proper word. Psychotic. That's the word I'm looking for. Psychotic, feared, and able to do the worst things. So that's where we are. And the one thing that I did not know is that somebody had already literally written the book on this. And here it is. Conspirators' Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. Get this book. If you do anything today, the link is in my description. Get a copy of it. It's in the CIA files. This is coming from CIA.gov. CIA.gov library. Conspirators' Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. This guy names the families of the 300 in this book. I haven't gotten that deep into it yet. It's a lot of amazing information, but he starts out clearly stating of what the intention of this committee has been for the last 80 years, and it has been to hollow out Europe and America and get rid of our middle class. It is stated right here. The destruction of our steel industry, auto, and housing industries in the terms of the post-industrial zero growth order handed down by the Committee of 300. That's what we've been suffering from. As a matter of fact, Rubio Rubio talks about it. Let's see if it's in this clip. Several folks have talked about the sick person in Europe, but it's written right here. Last Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio blew the lid off of a 50-year conspiracy. And that 50-year conspiracy is the marching orders of the Committee of 300. It all comes to circle, it all comes to truth, it all comes to facts. And it's wild. It is absolutely wild what we are up against. And as I said, it is named here in the map. If you go through all of this map as I've done, some of it is wild, some of it makes historical sense, and a lot of it is just pretty overwhelming. What it lets me know, because one person cannot do all of this. And this thing is now, let's see, 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. So, no, it's older than that. It's 10 years old. It is 10 years old. So, get a copy of this map, start going through it, become familiar with it. It's not nonsense. It is as factual as you can get. And then Because, I mean, we start up here in Atlantis, and then we go through all of our history until we get down to this bottom right-hand corner. And this is, man, this is what we studied on my channel for a long time. Follow the white rabbit. Trust the plan. Owl, which is one of my nicknames. And I guess my favorite when we saw it was breadcrumbs, which is in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Breadcrumbs. That's us. Yeah. So we're named in it. The Breadcrumbs Project. Pretty proud of that. Very proud of that. So, imperative, get a copy of this. This is unfolding. This is the map that we've been following. And this is Gnosis. This is Gnosis Rising. This is knowledge. This is wisdom. This is not new to us who are in the Q movement at all, by a long shot. But this is important for all of us to become aware of and help our neighbors, especially if you've been in the Anon movement for a long time like I have. Folks aren't ready for this, but they will be. And those of us who elect and make the effort to become much more aware of what's happening, the better off we'll be. So as this unfolds, I'm in my 80s, and I'm in my 60s. A lot of this, what he's talking about, unfolds in the 80s, and one of the big ones was Kissinger. Kissinger, when I was a kid, when I was a young man, like a lot of people with Winston Churchill, you know, he's a hero to a lot of people, as was Kissinger. And I find out he is one of the most evil people in the whole world. And he was part of our downfall. He got us into a bunch of wars, bled our treasury, bled our young men, bled our wisdom, and put us on the path that we are on today. And he is heavily named in this book. So one of the important things is that the Club of 300 refer to themselves as the Olympians. I am going to take a wild guess at, they get together every 4 years and they call it the Olympics, where they have the most beautiful people in the world doing celebrations. In this way they can sneak in, get together, and leave and do their 5-year planning. So they refer to themselves, the Committee of 300, as the Olympians. And this is when we get down into the meat of Kissinger, Henry Kissinger, former celebrated Secretary of State. When threatening Morrow, Kissinger was obviously not carrying out U.S. foreign policy, but rather acting according to instructions received from the Club of Rome, the foreign policy arm of the Committee of 300. And he also talks about CFR, Council of Foreign Relations. So this is beyond disturbing stuff. This is stuff that I'm studying right now to lay it all out for you. But the administration sees it clear and is letting us know that, in fact, yes, this has been going on for a long time, and all of the people that we consider our allies have been leeches on our corpse. And we're not idiots. we were able to see this, and I have to imagine that a small core of intelligence officers shut themselves off from the rest of the government and got to work on this. I'm guessing after Kennedy. I'm guessing everybody took it seriously after Kennedy. That these people had so much control that they could psyop the entire nation into a trauma, into grieving, and into not seeing things clearly. And I think that's when Operation Q went into overdrive and developed the plan that has been unfolding for a long time now. Please understand that they are not doing this alone. There's no way that even with all the resources our federal government has, that we could take on the Committee of 300 on our own. These people are international and global and exercise. Well, Epstein's a fine example. Our government had no hope of prosecuting and doing anything with Epstein. Why? Because if there was anything that was going to take hold, they'd just kill Epstein. They'd kill as many people as they have to, as they've done. They've killed presidents. So, as this fine organization has pointed out, Promethean Action. Let me scroll this up a little bit so you can see their logo. Promethean Action has done a real good job of tracking the City of London. And they stay focused on the City of London, and they don't cast their visions anywhere else. They haven't talked about Epstein. They haven't talked about Zionism and what's happening in the world as far as the world seeing Zionism. And remember, one of the big Q drops said, 9/16, if anybody has any questions, I have it up here, that Operation Q was saving Israel for last because they are super embedded in all of this. But Israel is only one arm of the many arms that the Committee of 300 and ultimately the Council of 13 has power over. So what happened? I think President Trump from childhood has been groomed for this operation, has been put in place. I wouldn't doubt that he is gay at all. So he could function within this community of business, finance, and entertainment that's been run by gay men. Diddy, his handler was Clive Davis, a very openly gay man, and just called one of the worst people and one of the most corrupt people in all of Hollywood. TLC, if you remember that group, they came in with guns, and they had a rotten contract. They got a good contract, and then suddenly the security around Clive Davis ramped up tenfold, if not 100-fold. So these people act and react to what's happening. And so obviously Les Wexner is the handler of Jeffrey Epstein. And there are just many other people like this out in society that have that are part of the tentacles of the Council of 13. So I posture that that Trump has always been driven for this, that he is quite possibly a gay man, and that can maneuver in these situations, in these peoples, and gather the resources, gather the information, gather the trust of all these sick, corrupt people, and do it in a way that he's not drinking, he's not taking drugs, he's not imbibing in the thing, but is close enough to be able to gather intel. And then when he ran for president, the reaction from the finance world, entertainment, from everything was visceral hate, which made the regular Americans go, well, that's interesting. And then the more hate they threw on him, the more he became attractive to middle America. And so he won the presidency, Then he lost it, but he actually didn't lose it. He lost it on purpose. What they say is put the gold out for the thieves. If you've got problems with thieves, put as much gold as you have out there. Let them try to take it all, and they can't, and they'll be caught. And that's an amazing philosophy, and that's what they did. So they had the auto pen. Biden didn't know what was going on, and there's so much fear and hate of Trump that the world was accepting Biden not being there. But there was something that Trump did, and that was continuity of government. That is a law put in place when our elections are compromised, clearly they were, then it is incumbent upon the president to invoke the continuity of government protocol. And the president gives up the presidency, but retains for 4 years his title of commander-in-chief. So Trump resigned the presidency. That's why every time he went to the courts and he was challenging the election, they kept telling him, you don't have standing. You're not the president. You don't have standing, which was true. He went into continuity of government and was commander-in-chief for those 4 years of Biden, and they were just getting everybody. And then he, of course, won the presidency again, and now he can officially act on all the things he has to. So stay sharp, stay clear, pay attention to a lot of these channels, but understand they all are just scratching the surface. They're not getting to where we need to be, which is the Committee of 300. The problem is when we get there, we are going to be in a wee bit of a state of shock, because we will be seeing how much corruption has been in place in our country, in our world, for a long time, for a very long time. So that's where this channel is going. That's the work that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be taking this to a place where a lot of other channels don't know to go and can't go. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is actively defending Q and QAnon in a lot of these channels. So for a great example, this channel has taken a few swipes at the QAnon community and also at Candace Owens. And Candace Owens is part of all of that's unfolding and that what we're doing. Candace Owens is a psyop, and a great psyop at that. A funny psyop. But she's bringing us the information that we have to know what's happening. So, and I say what's happening as everybody knows, what's happening in the international spy arena. So that's what she's touching on. Fort Huachuca, French and Israeli spies coming into America freely, and what the relationship with all of that is. So that's what Candace is doing. Their focus, this guy's Promethean's sole focus is the City of London and the economy. And bless them for doing it, but they've taken a few swipes at QAnon, and I've had to go in and defend them. And so I've basically rebranded my channel full on Q, and when these channels take swipes at it, I'm going to be representing the QAnon community that I've worked with for 10 years now, and represent them well and speak to the things. And that, no, man, we are not nut jobs. As a matter of fact, we knew all about Epstein way before anybody else did, because Epstein was coming out of the Q drops, if you guys remember. We saw the temple, we saw pictures, we saw the island, but most of all, for all of us, the temple stood out. And then we went and did our research. But all of that came out of Q drops. All of it. All the trafficking and the different players, that was coming from the drops, and the drops weren't telling us what to do. The drops were telling us, Go do some research on this. Go do some research on that. Go do some research on the Epstein Island. Oh my God, the tower. What's an Epstein Island? Who's Epstein? So we in this community are educated as to what is coming. And as the president said, nothing can stop what is coming. So, boom. And with Q Plus in his hand. And in his left hand. And I've come to find out that that is a power hand, that actually the left hand is a hand of grace and power and of prayer. So putting your left hand on your chest is a whole other feeling than putting your right hand on your chest. And so these things, the quantum, so many things to talk about. Guys, leave some comments in the comments section. Say hi in the chat, in the live chat. And we are starting this journey all over again. So yeah, this is where we're at. The world, oops, over here, right there. The world will soon understand. We in the Q community understand a good bit of it, and that is due to this map. So it all plays in together. We are in the storm, and yeah, Executive Order 12/21/17. So 2017 was quite the year. YouTube apocalypse, and that was in the map before it happened. I was part of it. I'm just seeing that. So this map has a lot of information that was out before it happened. Okay, let me say that again. I studied this. I have this since before the YouTube apocalypse, and I was part of it. That's how important these maps are. If you're in the fight, and if you understand that things are coming, this is just getting started, guys and gals. This is just getting started. My channel went through the apocalypse, couldn't get access to it for 5 years, and suddenly, 5 years to the month, I was able to get access to it again. All of this is for a reason, and I hate to be gosh, I can't think of the word. I hate to be I don't know, but trust the plan. Now we are trusting the plan. And this one also was posted by President Trump with the Q plus on his collar, acknowledging his place in the Q lore. So there's Q plus, there's Q. Q is actually the things that we see are run through AI. Okay, so basically Q was AI. It is hard to believe, but it's the only thing that makes sense. And I talked it through both Grok and ChatGPT before it became what it is now, when it was a lot more open to talk about these things, because it's part of the plan. So yes, that's how America could outflank this most ancient people, is with modern technology. And so AI has been the tool that America has used to outflank, and is still using it right now to outflank, and is using it through us right now to outflank the most evil that there is out there. How do we use it? Just research. Just before, it used to be a timely process through Google to do your research. Now, especially with Grok, you can do your research, you can learn things, you can get access to this information at CIA.gov quickly and easily, and learn more about this. This is not fluff in any of this. This is telling the story of how our country became, and how our countries, both Europe and the Americas, suffered because of the orders of the Committee of 300. So we have to really understand what we're up against, what our country has been fighting behind the scenes for the past 4 years, while President Trump was actually Commander-in-Chief Trump. And yeah, it's an amazing time we are living through, and it's just getting started. Just getting started. And I have no place to say this, so I'm just echoing what President Trump is saying here. Tick tock, tick tock. Time is up. The time is up. So, and this is President Trump retweeting this November 23rd, 2025. And I caught this early at 23 views. So at the time differential, I've been able to see some pretty cool things on President Trump's Truth Social before a lot of folks did. So that was a pretty big moment for me. And that also was when I was back on the Q train. I had gotten off the Trump train, I'd gotten off the Q train, I didn't trust anybody. And that's exactly what Q and Trump and everybody wanted me to do, was let them do their work, stop being a Q cheerleader, but when the time is right, to become a Q leader, and to be able to explain things to the normies and to those people who are just becoming aware of what great evil has been ruling this world, and wait for great things to happen with Iran. But President Trump is not posturing for a war with Iran. Quite the opposite. President Trump is going to make a big peace, and there's going to be another country that's going to be really, really upset about all of this. Actually, a couple of countries. So, and they are. We can name them. Why not name them? Israel. Israel right now is going to pitch a fit over the peace, over the Board of Peace, and freeing the Gaza people and getting Israel out of Gaza. There's going to be a big pushback, and that's why we have fleets in the Mediterranean, in the Suez Canal, and in and around the Middle East where they are now. We are getting out of the Middle East. President Trump is closing so many bases in the Middle East right now. We're getting out of there. We have no business being there. We don't want to be there. It wasn't our idea as a country to be there. It was part of the Committee of 300's ideas for us to be there, to destabilize that. That's in this book. So that is who we are ultimately fighting in all of this, is the very famous Council of 13, the 13 ancient families, and the Committee of 300. And part of that Committee of 300 is the royal family of Great Britain. And that's one of the four major countries that are fighting back right now and are panicking, are the oldest in the world, which are Israel, and not Israel. Israel's never been a country ever. It is the Kazakhs. It is the Ashkenazi Jews, which came from the Cossacks in the Kazakhstan area. And so, yeah, something that we will be delving into. Germany is the biggest one crying right now, having complete meltdowns. Pay attention to what's going on in Germany, because they're having, as I said, complete utter kittens all over the place. They're losing power to places. Their banks are getting robbed, okay? And it's not that their banks are getting robbed of cash. They are breaking into their own safety deposit boxes and looting them. And a lot of these ancient families are seeing that the gig is up. They have a lot of their wealth tied into different companies, and they just can't pull wealth out. So they're breaking into their own safety deposit boxes because they're panicking, fleeing, trying to figure out what to do. But when you're that big and you're that rich and you're that visible, there isn't much you can do. So Germany and the German population, pay attention to what's happening there. Again, they are breaking into their own security vaults in banks, in their own vaults, and just emptying them out. It's been an amazing thing to see. France is also in panic. Great Britain is in panic. Those are the 4 major countries right now that are just exhibiting panic behavior. And this guy is nothing but calm, cool, and collective in the process. So he's been doing this for quite a while now. He knows what he's doing. We've been part of this for quite a while now. I think we know what we're doing. So all we have to do is continue to educate ourselves, and then and in the process, educate those that will listen little by little. Again, Conspirators Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. It is a PDF available at CIA.gov. Get it, all right? That is most important. And after you get that and you're willing to do a little bit of studying, then go ahead and get a copy of the QWeb. This is the QWeb map, okay? It is not free anymore. You have to buy a copy of it. If you want to get a copy of it, go ahead and drop a comment here, and I'll make sure that I'll send you a copy of this PDF somehow or another. All right. Any questions? We are past the half-hour mark. Hate to do that, but got a good group here and enjoyed getting this out. We will be continuing on this same line of instruction tomorrow and every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And there's a lot to talk about, and we have to do a lot of talking. All right. Thank y'all so much for being here. And yeah, get your copies and start learning.